Welcome to the channel. Today we've got more gameplay for you from the Summoner's Nexus TCG. The Summoner's Nexus TCG is an indie trading card game that I created. My name is Saul, and I've been working on it for the last 3+ years. It's going to be fully digital, and will hopefully be with you relatively soon. And in the lead up to that, I wanted to share some of the gameplay, some of the things that you can do within my game. To that end, we're going to be playing a tutorial match against the AI that I designed and had developed. Don't worry if you don't know how to play the game, because I will be explaining the things that I do and the choices that I make as I make them. I'm using a work in progress build of the game on my phone because it's going to be on PC and mobile devices, and I'll just get right into the breakdown of the cards and effects. Today's video is going to showcase the Forest Guard subset. It is a group of cards that focuses on a more resource-based style of play. They use these things called forest counters, which they can generate using their card effects as the price and the cost for some of their effects. They do this by activating various runes. So the deck actually revolves around the card that I just showed you, Selenus, who says that whenever a rune is activated, he can generate a forest counter. So your game plan is usually summon Selenus, activate his effect, activate 3 runes, gain 3 counters, and then try and keep Selenus alive to the next turn to generate more counters to use for all of your other effects. The catch is that at the end of the turn where Selenus activates his effect, he blows himself up, but we have something for that, so don't worry about that right now. It's fine. With that being said, with that being explained, we can just head on over to the tutorial stage. In the first video that I did, I played against the AI on easy mode, and I kind of want to work my way up to what we're going to play against. So I will choose to fight a balanced playstyle, because you can choose the playstyle that the AI opponent uses, and this time we're going to go in at normal difficulty and see how that goes. Alright, so turn 1 with the Forest Guard deck. Like I said, my game plan is to create as many counters as I can. So since Selenus is my primary counter generator, I'm going to put him in the Nexus where he'll be safe, and I'll summon 1 card for offense and 1 card for defense. Now, this deck is incomplete unless you play runes to go alongside it. I'm going to set 3 runes to use during this turn. Also, don't mind the card sleeves and the map that I'm using, because these are not the default ones. I just like the way that these look together. Alright, so since we chose the normal difficulty, our opponent's cards have 200 points of attack and defense each time that they're summoned. This hopefully will still be easy enough to contend with. The wave starts and I immediately activate the effect of tutelage, which means that now whenever a rune is activated by myself or my opponent, but my opponent can't use runes right now, Selenus will generate a counter and put it on another card that I control. I have to wait for that chain to end, because until the effect of tutelage resolves, it won't work properly. Like, things just won't happen the way I want them to. So now that that effect has resolved and he's glowing, I can start activating runes. So I activate Incinerate to burn one of my opponent's cards, and Selenus shows me a menu asking me what card I want to put a counter on. Then I will activate the effect of Forest Guard Startup, which allows me to choose. You can see the counter already on Minos, which allows me to choose a card to place a forest counter on. I choose Selenus, and then Selenus places another counter. It's just about building up as many of these as we can. Now, at this stage, I'm going to activate the effects of the 2 cards that you see here, Center Stage and Forest Guardian. Now, what Center Stage and Forest Guardian do, it's basically identical, where they say boost our attack or defense respectively based on how many forest counters are currently on the field. So when they resolve, he goes up to 250, he goes up to 250, but then Startup adds another counter, so they both go up to 300. Now this is a completely temporary boost, and it is entirely dependent on how many counters you have, so it's really important to maintain that number over the course of the game. We're currently on 3 counters, we don't want to fall below this. So my opponent attacked as it was programmed to do. The AI always does that, and so we have a reduction in stats for Centaur Sage. Now, Selenus is asking me to either remove all of my forest counters or destroy him because of his effect. Now, I want to keep my forest counters, so I'm going to use this little trick that we do in the Forest Guard subset, where if a card has a forest counter on it and it would be destroyed, you can activate Forest Wall to prevent the destruction. So we take a counter off of Selenus to protect him from his own destruction, but Selenus in turn will give us a new counter to replace the one we just lost because of the activation of the rune that saved him from his death. So we end up surviving turn 1, 3 counters, and Selenus is still on the field to generate 3 more next turn. Now, this is where things start to get a little bit tricky. So, I do not have an infinite number of runes, and my opponent isn't playing a deck that includes runes because it's an AI opponent. So, I can't rely on their rune activations. I need to rely on myself. In order to try and do that, I am going to let's summon Pixie in my counter zone. She's got 0 attack, but she will use up my opponent's attack for this turn so that he won't be able to kill me. And we will summon both of these 2 cards over here to just try and make as big of a dent as we can in our opponent. Now, as for runes, I will set Exorcism, I will set Woodland, and I will set Emergence. I'm going to go all in. Now, the AI opponent summons cards to replace the ones that have just been destroyed, and we are absolutely okay with that. Now, we have a few effects that we need to activate. First and foremost, we need to activate Tutelage. That way we can start generating counters again. But there's something else here. Goblin Forge has an effect called Nature's Forge, which allows him to just generate a single counter on himself each turn, no runes involved. So once Selenis is finally destroyed, he's our backup Selenis, right? Nature's Forge activates. We are also going to activate Forest Guardian, because we know we're going to need it this turn, and Center Stage. Now, I will be activating Danger Beast. Danger Beast is an effect that says for every rune currently on the field, this card gains 50 attack. So it's better to use this effect at the beginning of the turn when you have 3 runes still in play, and we're not going to activate any of the runes because we need Tutelage to give us counters off of them. So we wait, we hold off on it, and we allow ourselves to get boosted up by the number of counters that we currently have. Okay, so movement phase 1 occurs, and what we can do here is actually kind of interesting. Now, Forest Woodland says you can remove all of the forest counters currently on a card and boost that card's attack or defense by however many counters you just removed. Well, since Forge only has 1 counter, we can remove that 1 counter to boost him to 200, and then we get ourselves a free token that we will just put over here. Not a token, a counter, right? To replace the one that we just used. Now, I will also activate this rune, which is completely useless, Exorcism, which cleanses a card of its current status conditions. I'm just going to choose Selenis. He doesn't have a status condition on him. I'm just going to choose him anyway. That way I get 1 more forest counter, and we leave it at that. Now, the card that wants to activate right now is called Forest Emergence, and that card removes 2 of your forest counters in order to fish a card out of the graveyard, but that is not worth it to me right now. I do not want to give up any of my counters, so we're gonna leave that be. We're not going to activate that rune. We're gonna let it go to the grave at the end of the turn. So, Minos attacks into the enemy card because he has to. He's been on the field for more than 1 turn. My opponent will attack into me because that's just what he does, and we will get 200 points to the face because Forge moves up and he has not attacked this turn. So we have 200 points to the face for our opponent, and we're in really good standing. I'm not worried about this fight at all. There's realistically not too much that he can do to get through to me. I think even normal difficulty we're good with. So the end of the turn has come around, and I'm actually going to choose to destroy Selenis this time. The reason for that is I don't have Forest Wall to protect myself, and I don't have any runes in my hand right now, so there's no point. He won't be able to generate me anything, so we're gonna put everything on Goblin Forge. Goblin Forge is who we're relying on for the rest of this contest. Now, we have Canine Karib in our hand. He's a defensive card. What he says is that if he gets destroyed, you can reduce your opponent's Nexus gauge by 50 and reduce the stats of whatever card destroyed him by 50. Now, the idea is he's supposed to be a 150 combo despite only having 50 defense. I am going to put this defensive card in my counter zone though. That way, if my opponent tries to get through, they will inherently lose some of their stats and their health before they make it to my defense zone. After that, I'm just going to fully rely on the cards that I already have on the field to see me through for the rest of this fight. So wave start rolls around, and we are going to immediately Nature's Forge because we need more counters. And we will activate Center Stage once again to boost ourselves up, as well as, again, Forest Guardian. All we care about right now is keeping our stats high, right? Now, there are other effects that the Forest Guard subset can activate, like the Centaur Sage ability that you saw, Sage try and activate just now, is something that has the power to get a rune from my resource deck and just play it directly to the field, but I don't need that right now. What I need is to survive, and I think we actually did we just do it? Because he's about to, that's it, that's a GG, okay, that was much easier than I was expecting. I genuinely think that on hard difficulty, even with the lack of runes on my opponent's side, I would be okay. So yeah, that is another showcase of the gameplay in my indie game. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you thought it was fun or looked cool, and if you did, then please consider subscribing to the channel to see more gameplay content. Join our community. It's our Discord link down below where you can learn more about how you can get your hands on the game and when it will be available for you to play, and leave a like so that more people see the video so we get more players for the game for you to play against. With that being said, have a wonderful day and take care. Bye.